My fiancé never wore his engagement ring to work, claiming it wasn't professional. When I discovered why, I made a move that ended everything. Brian slipped the tungsten band off his finger every morning at 7:15 a.m., placing it in the same spot on our dresser before kissing me goodbye. Investment banking has an image, he'd explained when I first asked. Engaged men seem less dedicated to the grind. For 18 months, I believed him. The doubt started with a LinkedIn notification. His coworker Melissa had viewed my profile at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Strange, considering we'd never met. When I clicked her page, something twisted in my stomach. Her relationship status. Engaged. The ring in her profile photo looked expensive. Platinum with a massive cushion-cut diamond, posted 3 weeks ago. I told myself it was paranoia. Brian worked 100-hour weeks. When would he have time for an affair? But the seed was planted. I started noticing things. How he'd angle his phone away when texting. The new cologne that appeared in his gym bag. The conference in Dallas he forgot to mention until the night before. "You're being crazy," my sister said when I voiced my concerns. "Brian worships you." Still, something felt wrong. The breaking point came during his company's holiday party. I'd bought a new dress. Emerald green, his favorite color. As we walked in, his hand tightened on my lower back. "Remember," he whispered, "keep it professional. These people determine my bonus." I smiled and played the perfect fiancé. Quiet, supportive, asking about kids and vacation plans while Brian talked deals with the partners. Then Melissa walked in. She was prettier in person, tall, auburn hair, wearing the kind of dress that cost more than my monthly rent. The diamond on her finger caught the light as she waved to Brian. He didn't wave back, but I saw the micro-expression, that flash of panic before his face went neutral. "Who's that?" I asked casually. "New analyst, Melissa something." She approached our group, champagne in hand. "Brian," she said warmly, "so nice to see you outside the office for once." Her eyes flickered to me, then to my engagement ring. A modest solitaire Brian had proposed with, promising to upgrade it when the market turned. "You must be the famous Rachel," she said. "Brian's told me so much about you." That was odd. Brian claimed he never discussed personal life at work. "All good things, I hope," I managed. She laughed, too loud, too long. "Of course, though I'm surprised." She stopped herself. "Never mind." "Surprised about what?" I pressed. Her eyes darted to Brian. "Just that you're so different from what I expected." The conversation moved on, but that word, different, lodged in my throat. An hour later, I excused myself to find the bathroom. The hallway was quiet, dimly lit. As I passed a conference room, I heard Brian's voice through the cracked door. "You can't be here," he was saying. "I work here," Melissa replied. "I have every right." "That's not what I mean, and you know it." 3 months, Brian. You said 3 more months. Keep your voice down." "Why? Afraid she'll find out?" My hand was on the doorknob before I realized I'd moved. But then Melissa spoke again, and what she said made my blood turn to ice. "Does she know about Austin?" "Of course not." "Or the apartment?" "Melissa? Or that you've been engaged to me for 2 years?" The doorknob turned under my hand before I could stop myself. They both froze, Brian's face draining of color, Melissa's eyes widening with something between shock and satisfaction. "Rachel," Brian started. "This isn't 2 years?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "You've been engaged to her for 2 years?" Melissa held up her hand, that massive diamond catching the light. 26 months, actually. We got engaged in Austin during the Goldman Conference. The Goldman Conference. Brian had told me he was visiting his sick grandmother that weekend. "Rachel, let me explain. Who's the apartment for?" I asked, still eerily calm. Melissa laughed bitterly. "Our apartment, in Tribeca, where he stays Monday through Thursday." Monday through Thursday, when Brian claimed he was crashing at the office. "And Fridays through Sundays?" I asked, though I already knew. "With you, apparently," Melissa said. Her voice cracked. "His side piece in Queens." Side piece. I was the side piece. "That's not..." Brian reached for me, but I stepped back. "What was the plan?" I asked. "Keep both of us until when?" Brian's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Melissa answered for him. "Until he made partner. Then he was going to break it off with you and we'd get married. My father's a managing director at Morgan Stanley. The connection would guarantee his promotion." The room spun. 18 months of my life. The small wedding we'd been planning. The kids we'd talked about having. "But then you proposed to her," Melissa continued, glaring at Brian. "Without telling me. I found out from Instagram." "You follow me on Instagram?" I asked. "From a fake account. I had to know who you were, what you had that I didn't." Besides ignorance, Brian finally found his voice. "Rachel, please, let's go home and talk about this." "Home?" I laughed, but it sounded hollow. "You mean your weekend rental?" "It's not like that." "Then what's it like, Brian?" He ran his hands through his hair. A tell I now recognized meant he was crafting a lie. "I love you," he said. "Both of you. I couldn't choose." "So you chose both," Melissa said, without telling either of us. I looked at her, really looked at her. Beneath the perfect makeup, her eyes were red-rimmed. She'd been crying before the party. "How did you find out?" I asked her. His phone synced to his laptop during a presentation. "Your text popped up. Can't wait to marry you." She laughed bitterly. I thought it was a typo until I saw the ring charge on his credit card statement. "You have access to his credit cards?" "We have a joint account. For the wedding planning." The wedding planning. While I'd been picking out flowers at budget florists, she'd been planning something grand. "Show her," Melissa said to Brian. "Show her the pictures." "What pictures?" Brian shook his head, but Melissa pulled out her phone. "Our engagement photos," she said, swiping through professionally shot images. Brian in a tux, Melissa in white, the Austin skyline behind them. And the venue, the St. Regis, where Brian had taken me for our anniversary, claiming he'd always dreamed of getting married there. The date's set for June, Melissa continued. 300 guests. His parents already flew in from Seattle to meet my family. His parents, who he'd told me were dead. They're not dead? I whispered. Brian's face crumbled. Rachel, your parents are alive? It's complicated. They hate him, Melissa said flatly. Cut him off when he dropped out of law school. The only reason they're coming to the wedding is because my father promised to get him into Harvard Business School. Harvard Business School. Another lie. Brian had told me he already had his MBA from Wharton. Do you even work here? I asked him. Of course I work here. He's a junior analyst, Melissa said. Not an associate like he tells you. My father got him the job. Junior analyst. He'd been lying about his position, his salary, everything. The Porsche? I asked. Leased. Under my name, Melissa said. The condo? Mine. He pays me rent. In cash, probably so you wouldn't see the transactions. Every piece of my life with Brian was crumbling. Why? I asked him. Why do all this? He slumped into a chair. I met Melissa first, at a networking event. Her father could change my life, but it was transactional. Then I met you at that coffee shop, and you were real. You didn't care about connections or status. You loved me, for who you pretended to be, I corrected. The person I am with you is who I want to be, he said desperately. With Melissa, I'm playing a role. Excuse me? Melissa's voice went sharp. Playing a role? You know what I mean? No, Brian. Enlighten me. What role are you playing? He looked between us, realizing he just destroyed his chance with both of us. I should go, I said. Rachel, wait. Brian stood. For what? More lies? We can work through this. Like you worked through it with her? Melissa laughed harshly. Oh, he's got a whole playbook. Let me guess. He told you his ex cheated on him? Made him afraid to fully commit? I nodded slowly. He told me that story on our third date. Her name was Ashley, Melissa said. She didn't cheat. She found out about me. There was another one? Before my time, but I did some digging after tonight. Found her on Facebook. She had some interesting things to say. You contacted his ex? 2 hours ago. When I realized he was bringing someone to the party. She looked at Brian with disgust. You have a type, you know? Sweet. Trusting. Not connected enough to verify your lies. Brian stood there exposed. The man I'd loved for 18 months was a stranger. I'm done, I said. You don't mean that. I need to go. I walked toward the door, but Melissa's voice stopped me. Wait, she said. There's more you should know. I don't think I can handle more. You need to. For legal reasons. Legal reasons? She pulled out a folder from her purse. The lease on your apartment. It's in his name, isn't it? My stomach dropped. How did you? Because mine is too. And according to these documents, he's been planning to evict you. He filed the paperwork last week. That's not true, Brian said quickly. I would never. Melissa handed me the papers. There it was. An eviction notice dated 5 days ago. The reason? Lease violation for unauthorized occupancy. I'm on the lease, I said. No, Melissa said gently. You're listed as a guest. Long-term guest? But still removable at the leaseholder's discretion. I'd never actually seen the lease. Brian had handled everything, said it was easier that way. When? I asked him. When were you planning to kick me out? His silence was answer enough. After you got married, I said, understanding. You were going to marry her and evict me. The plan was to break up with you before then. How generous. Rachel, please. My stuff, I said suddenly. All my things are in that apartment. Get them tonight, Melissa advised, before he changes the locks. You can't be serious. Check your bank account, she told me, the joint one. I pulled out my phone, my hands shaking as I logged in. The account we'd opened for wedding savings, where I'd been depositing $500 every month. Balance, 0.0. You emptied it? This morning, Melissa said. I checked mine too. He transferred everything to an account in just his name. $12,000. A year of scrimping and saving, gone. That's theft, I said. Technically, it's not, Brian said quietly. My name's on the account. You're really going to play technicalities right now? He had the decency to look ashamed. There's a reason I wanted you to know, Melissa said. We can file a joint police report for fraud. It's not fraud if... Shut up, Brian, we both said simultaneously. Despite everything, Melissa and I shared a look of understanding. I have recordings, she said, of him admitting to the lies, and screenshots. Texts where he discusses his plan. What plan? She pulled up her phone, showing me a text thread. Brian, once I lock down the promotion, I'll end things with our friend, cold. What about the money she saved? Brian, consider it compensation for my time. Friend, that's fucked up. Brian, it's business. You called our relationship a business transaction? Brian's face had gone gray. That was taken out of context. What context makes that okay? Melissa demanded. We stood there, the three of us, in a conference room that smelled like leather and broken promises. I know a lawyer, Melissa said to me. A good one. We can bury him. You'd work with me? Against him? Absolutely. Brian looked between us, panic setting in. You can't be serious, my career. Should have thought of that before, I said. Rachel, please, I love you. No, I said. You love the idea of me, the backup plan, the safety net. That's not true. Then prove it. Give me back my money. He hesitated. That tiny hesitation told me everything. Thought so. I turned to Melissa, the lawyer. Call them tonight. She nodded, then looked at Brian. My ring. Give it back. Melissa. Now. She pulled off the engagement ring and threw it at him. It bounced off his chest and rolled under the table. Yours too, she said to me. I looked at the modest solitaire. The ring he'd proposed with at sunset in Central Park. The moment I'd thought was the beginning of my happily ever after. I pulled it off and set it gently on the table. Keep it, I said. Sell it. Maybe you'll get enough to cover first month's rent when you're evicted from both apartments. You can't evict me. My name is on the Tribeca lease, Melissa said. But guess whose father owns the building? Brian's face went white. Daddy already started the paperwork, she continued. You have 30 days. And my apartment? He asked me. Not my problem. I headed for the door, Melissa beside me. Wait, Brian called. My job? Melissa turned. What about it? Your father will know everything by morning. You'd ruin me? She laughed, but it was hollow. You ruined yourself. We left him there, in that conference room with its leather chairs and city views, the life he'd lied himself into crumbling around him. In the elevator, Melissa and I stood in silence until she spoke. I'm sorry for calling you a side piece. I was just angry, hurt, betrayed. I finished. I know. How are you so calm? I'm not, I admitted. I'm in shock. Tomorrow I'll probably fall apart. Where will you go tonight? My sister's, I guess. After I get my things. I'll come with you, in case he shows up. You'd do that? We're both victims here. The elevator opened to the lobby. The party was still in full swing, laughter echoing from the main ballroom. Should we tell people? I asked. About what he did? Melissa considered. No, we do this legally, quietly at first, build our case. And then we destroy him properly. We exchanged numbers in the lobby. As I waited for my Uber, she stood with me. Can I ask you something? She said. Did you really love him? I thought about it. I loved who I thought he was. You? Same. She pulled her coat tighter. God, how did we both fall for it? He's a good liar. The best. My Uber pulled up. As I got in, Melissa called out, Rachel, we're going to be okay, both of us. I nodded, hoping she was right. The ride to Queens felt endless. I texted my sister, coming over. We'll explain later. Her response was immediate. Guest room is ready. Wine is chilled. At the apartment, I couldn't call it home anymore. I moved efficiently. 18 months of my life fit into 4 suitcases and 3 boxes. I took only what was mine, leaving behind the things we'd bought together. Let him explain the empty spaces to whoever he brought here next. I found things that made more sense now. A second phone charger that wasn't for his phone model. A jewelry box shoved behind his suits with a receipt for Melissa's ring. Date of purchase. 3 months before he proposed to me. In his closet, behind a row of shirts, I found a folder. Our wedding folder, I'd thought. But inside were contracts. Legal documents. The real lease for the apartment, with only his name. The eviction papers already notarized, and something else. A life insurance policy. On me. For $500,000. Brian as the sole beneficiary. My hands shook as I photographed every page. When had he taken this out? Why? I texted Melissa. Found something. Life insurance policy on me. Her response was immediate. On you? Get out. Now. Take photos of everything first. I grabbed what I could carry and left. As I waited for another Uber, I saw Brian's Porsche, Melissa's Porsche, pull into the parking garage. I ducked behind a car, watching as he stumbled out, clearly drunk. He was on the phone. She can't prove anything, he was saying. The policies are legal. Both of them. Both of them. No, I wasn't going to actually... He paused. It was just insurance. In case. In case of what? The wedding's off. Both of them. Yes, both women found out. No, I don't know how much they know. He disappeared into the building. I waited 5 minutes, then got in my Uber. At my sister's apartment, I collapsed on her couch and told her everything. She listened, her face cycling through shock, anger, and disgust. A life insurance policy? She pulled me into a hug. That's beyond fraud. That's scary, I finished. What was he planning? Nothing good. My phone buzzed. Melissa, can you meet tomorrow? My lawyer wants to see those photos. I agreed, then showed my sister the text between Brian and his friend. Compensation for his time? She looked ready to commit murder. I'll kill him. Get in line. Behind who? Melissa's father, apparently. Good. She poured more wine. What are you going to do? Fight back. Get my money. Make sure he can't do this to anyone else. And after? Start over, I guess. You'll stay here as long as you need. I nodded, grateful. Can I ask you something? Were there signs I missed? She hesitated. Maybe. The way he'd redirect conversations. How you never met his coworkers. The gaps in his stories. Why didn't you say anything? Would you have listened? She was right. I'd been too in love to see the red flags. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Rachel? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. Who's this? Ashley, Brian's ex. Melissa gave me your number. My stomach tightened. Oh, I wanted to warn you. Both of you. But especially you. Why especially me? Because of what happened to the girl before me. There was someone before you? Vanessa. I found out about her after Brian and I split. She had a similar story. Engagement, lies, money stolen. But then she had an accident. An accident? Car crash. Brake failure. She survived. Barely. The insurance paid out to Brian. My blood went cold. You think I can't prove anything. The police said it was mechanical failure. But the timing? Right after she discovered his lies? 3 days after. I looked at the life insurance papers in my hand. Ashley, can I call you back? I need to... Be careful, she said. Document everything. Don't be alone with him. I won't. And Rachel, check your car. The call ended. I stared at my phone, then at my sister. I don't have a car, I said. But Brian does. He's been insisting I drive it. Said his insurance covers me. My sister grabbed her laptop. What's the policy number? I found it in my photos. She typed rapidly. This isn't car insurance, she said slowly. It's additional life insurance, specifically for vehicular accidents. He wanted me to drive his car, the car that Melissa technically owns. We looked at each other. I need to call Melissa, I said. She answered immediately. Did you get out okay? Yes, but listen. Ashley called. The ex before her, there was an accident. And Brian has vehicular life insurance on me. Silence. Then, on me too. What? I just found it. Hidden in his files at the apartment. Vehicular accident insurance? I drive that Porsche every day. Melissa, I think I'm already at my parents' house, with security. You stay with your sister. Don't go anywhere alone. Should we call the police? My father's already on it. His lawyers found more. Brian's done this in 3 different cities. 3 cities? Chicago, Boston, here. Different names each time. Same pattern. How is he not in prison? No one ever had enough proof. The women either disappeared or dropped charges after accidents. Accidents. Plural. We have proof now, I said. Together. Together, she agreed. Can you meet tomorrow? My father's office. Bring everything. I agreed and hung up. My sister was staring at me. You were engaged to a serial predator. Don't. I know. I pulled my knees to my chest. I know. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me jump. When my phone buzzed at 3 a.m., I nearly screamed. It was Brian. We need to talk. Please. I didn't respond. Another text. I know you're reading this. Then, I can explain everything. Finally. Don't do anything you'll regret. That last one felt like a threat. I screenshot everything and forwarded it to Melissa. Her response, he's texting me too. Don't engage. In the morning, I met Melissa at her father's building, a gleaming tower in Midtown. Her father, Richard, was exactly what you'd expect from a Morgan Stanley managing director. Silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and furious. This man, he said, looking at our compiled evidence, used my daughter to advance his career while maintaining another relationship. He's stolen approximately $40,000 between you both, and there's evidence of potential insurance fraud spanning multiple states. Can we prove it? I asked. My investigators are working on it. They've found 3 other women so far. 3 others? Same pattern. Meet them young, isolated from family, create financial dependence, take out insurance policies. Then, when they discover the truth, accidents. All accidents? 1 suicide. Allegedly. Melissa grabbed my hand. We were both shaking. What do we do? She asked her father. We bury him, legally and professionally. I've already spoken to his employer. He's suspended pending investigation. He'll run, I said. If he's done this before, he has an exit strategy. Richard smiled coldly. His passport was flagged this morning. He's not going anywhere. You can do that? I have friends in useful places. A knock on the door interrupted us. Richard's assistant entered. Sir, there's been a development. Brian Frost is in the lobby, demanding to see you. Melissa went pale. He's here? Security is holding him, the assistant assured us. Richard stood. I'll handle this. We're coming, Melissa said. Absolutely not. Dad, we deserve to face him. He looked between us, then nodded. Security stays close. In the lobby, Brian stood between 2 security guards looking haggard. When he saw us, his face lit up with desperate hope. Rachel, Melissa, tell them this is a misunderstanding. It's not, Melissa said flatly. Mr. Frost. Richard's voice was ice. You're no longer welcome in this building, or at your place of employment. You can't. I can, and I have. Your desk is being cleared as we speak. Brian's face went from desperate to angry. This is because I wouldn't marry your daughter. Richard laughed. No, this is because you're a con artist and a thief. The FBI will be in touch. The FBI? Brian went white. For what? Wire fraud, for starters. Insurance fraud. Identity theft. Should I continue? You have no proof? We have everything, I said, finding my voice. Your texts, the policies, the other women. His eyes snapped to me. Other women? Chicago, Boston, Vanessa who almost died. For the first time, real fear crossed his face. I didn't. Save it for the authorities, Richard said, then turned to security. Remove him. If he returns, call the police. As security dragged Brian toward the door, he yelled back at us. You're making a mistake. I have information about both of you. Let him talk, Melissa said suddenly. Security stopped. What information? She asked. Brian straightened his suit. Things you wouldn't want public. Like what? He looked at me. Like her mother's illness. I froze. What about my mother? She's not dead. She's in a psychiatric facility in New Jersey. Has been for 10 years. The room spun. That's not. Ward 7. Schizophrenia diagnosis. Your father pays the bills. My mother had died when I was 15. Cancer. I'd been at her funeral. You're lying. Am I? Call Peaceful Meadows. Room 714. I looked at Melissa, who looked equally shocked. And you? Brian turned to her. Want to tell Daddy about Trevor? Melissa went rigid. How? Your abortion. Sophomore year. Daddy's perfect princess isn't so perfect. Richard's face darkened, but not at Melissa. At Brian. You investigated my daughter? Insurance? Brian said smugly, in case she tried to leave me. Get him out, Richard said quietly. Now. As security dragged him away, Brian shouted, check room 714, ask about Patricia. Patricia, my mother's name. The lobby fell silent. I stood frozen, my mind racing. I need to make a call, I said. Rachel? Melissa started. I need to know. I stepped outside, my hands shaking as I Googled Peaceful Meadows. It existed. A psychiatric facility in Newark. I called. Peaceful Meadows, how may I direct your call? I need to ask about a patient. Patricia Lynn. Are you family? I'm her daughter. A pause. Please hold. Music played. My heart pounded. Then a different voice. Miss Lynn? Yes. Your mother is in our long-term care ward. Would you like to schedule a visit? The phone slipped from my numb fingers. My mother was alive. My father had lied to me for 10 years. Melissa found me sitting on the sidewalk crying. It's true, I whispered. She's alive. She sat beside me, not saying anything, just holding my hand. Brian knew, I said. He knew and never told me. He was saving it. As leverage. Everything is a lie. Brian, my father, my entire life. Not everything, she said gently. Your pain is real. Your strength is real. I don't feel strong. You left him. You're fighting back. That's strength. We sat there as the city moved around us. Finally, Richard appeared. I've made some calls, he said carefully. Your mother has been at that facility since 2014. Your father has been paying for her care. Why would he lie? That's something you'll need to ask him. I can't. Not yet. Then don't. Focus on what we can control. Brian. I nodded, wiping my eyes. The FBI wants to meet Monday, Richard continued. Both of you. Bring everything. Will he go to prison? If we can prove half of what we suspect, yes. Good. That weekend, I stayed with my sister, trying to process everything. She was as shocked as I was about our mother. Dad told us she died, she kept saying. We went to the funeral. Closed casket. I reminded her. We never saw her. Jesus. On Monday, Melissa and I sat in a federal building telling our story to 2 FBI agents. They took our evidence, asked detailed questions, and revealed they'd been building a case against Brian for 2 years. He changes names, one agent explained, cities, jobs. But the pattern is always the same. How many women? Melissa asked. That we know of? 7. You 2 are the lucky ones. Lucky, because we'd found out before the accidents. What happens now? I asked. We arrest him. With your testimony and evidence, we can make it stick. They arrested Brian that afternoon at a motel in Queens. He'd been trying to leave the state despite the passport flag. They found 3 fake IDs and $50,000 in cash in his room. The story made the news. Manhattan finance bro arrested in multi-state fraud scheme. My phone exploded with texts from friends who recognized him, but I ignored them all. I had something more important to do. I drove to Peaceful Meadows. The facility was nicer than I'd expected. Clean, bright, gardens outside. At the reception desk, I gave my name. Room 714, the receptionist said. She's having a good day. A good day. I walked down the hall, my heart pounding. At room 714, I knocked. Come in, a familiar voice called. I opened the door. My mother sat by the window sketching. She looked older, grayer, but it was her. Mom? She looked up, and for a moment confusion crossed her face. Then recognition. Rachel? My baby? I ran to her, collapsing in her arms. She held me as I sobbed. They told me you were dead, I whispered. Who told you that? Dad. Her face hardened. He said it would be easier, that you girls didn't need to see me like this. Like what? Sick. Broken. You're not broken. She touched my face gently. My mind is. Some days I don't know where I am, who I am. The medication helps, but why didn't he let us visit? He thought it would traumatize you, seeing me when the episodes hit. That wasn't his choice to make. No, she agreed. It wasn't. We talked for hours. She told me about her illness, how it had manifested suddenly when I was 15, the hallucinations, the paranoia, how Dad had her committed after she'd tried to hurt herself during an episode. He couldn't handle it, she said. The shame. Mental illness doesn't fit his perfect family image. So he buried you. In a way, I'm going to confront him. Don't, she said, grabbing my hand. Not yet. I need you to understand something first. What? Your father pays for this place. It's expensive. Good care. If you confront him, he might stop. Then I'll pay. With what money, sweetheart? The money Brian stole. The money I didn't have. I'll figure it out. Visit me first. Get to know me again. Then decide. I agreed reluctantly. Over the next month, I visited twice a week. Sometimes she was herself, sharp, funny, the mother I remembered. Other times she didn't recognize me, lost in delusions that made her cry. Meanwhile, the case against Brian proceeded. He was charged with wire fraud, identity theft, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit assault. That last one related to Vanessa's accident. Melissa and I attended every hearing. We sat together, united in our anger. At the bail hearing, Brian's lawyer argued for release. My client has ties to the community. Your client has ties to multiple fraudulent identities, the prosecutor countered. He's a flight risk. The judge denied bail. As they led Brian away, he looked at us. Not with anger anymore, but with something like fear. He knew he was finished. The trial was set for 6 months out. In that time, Melissa and I became unlikely friends. We'd meet for coffee, comparing notes on the lies we'd been told. He said his favorite book was The Great Gatsby, she told me once. Me too, said he identified with the self-made man aspect. Ironic. Gatsby was a fraud too. We laughed. Dark humor, our coping mechanism. 3 months into waiting for trial, Richard called us both to his office. Brian wants to make a deal, he said. No deals, Melissa said immediately. Hear it out. He's offering full restitution, all the money he stole, plus damages. In exchange for what? I asked. Reduced sentence. 5 years instead of 20. No, we said in unison. He also has information about other victims, women we haven't found. That made us pause. How many? Melissa asked. He says 3 more, including one who might still be in danger. From him? From herself. Apparently, she never recovered from what he did. I thought about Vanessa, about the others. Can we talk to them first? I asked. Before deciding? Richard nodded. I'll arrange it. The meeting happened in a law office downtown. 3 women, all around our age, all with the same haunted look. Diana from Chicago spoke first. He convinced me to alienate my family, said they were toxic. By the time I learned the truth, I'd burned every bridge. Then Chloe from Boston. The insurance policy saved my life, ironically. When my apartment caught fire, investigators found evidence of arson. That's what spooked him into leaving. Finally, Vanessa on video call from her rehabilitation facility. I'll never walk properly again. The accident damaged my spine, but at least I'm alive. Will testifying help? Melissa asked them. It's not about helping, Diana said. It's about making sure he can't do this again. We all agreed. No deal. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Brian took the stand, trying to paint himself as a misunderstood romantic. I loved them all, he claimed. I just couldn't choose. The prosecutor destroyed him with evidence. The texts, the insurance policies, the pattern of behavior across multiple cities. When I testified, I focused on the facts, the lies, the stolen money, the fear when I realized what he was capable of. Melissa was fiercer. She detailed the emotional manipulation, the gaslighting, the way he'd isolated her from friends. The other women testified via video link. Their stories were devastating. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. The sentence? 18 years federal prison, plus restitution to all victims. As they led Brian away in handcuffs, he looked at me one last time. I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, just empty. Outside the courthouse, Melissa and I stood together. It's over, she said. Is it? I still have to deal with my father, figure out my life. You'll manage. We both will. She was right. I confronted my father a week later. He cried, claimed he was protecting us. I told him he was a coward. We haven't spoken since. I got a job at a nonprofit that helps fraud victims. The pay is terrible, but the work matters. I visit my mother every week. We're rebuilding, slowly. Melissa went to therapy, dealt with her trauma, and eventually started dating a decent guy who knows her whole story. We still meet for coffee monthly. 6 months after the trial, I got a letter from Brian in prison. I burned it unread. Some stories don't get happy endings. Sometimes the best you can hope for is survival and the wisdom to spot the red flags next time. But I learned something important. The truth, no matter how painful, is better than the prettiest lie. And if someone won't wear their engagement ring to work, run, because professional image is never more important than acknowledging the person you claim to love. Brian taught me that, in the worst possible way, but I survived him. We all did, and that's enough.